Here's Ray in Maryland. Hey, Ray.
Hey, happy Friday, Eddie.
You too, man.
I've told you in the past, I listen to your daily show live. I never miss it. I listen to when you're on 39, but for work purposes, I was away for a couple of weeks, so I wasn't able to hear Trunk Nation for 2 weeks. So have I missed anything?
Oh, yeah.
Would you get me up?
You got a lot of Ray. You got a busy weekend on the app catching up.
I'll check it on the app, man. I'll get up to speed on it. This Motley Crue thing. I mean, I know you said they've been transparent about tracks and all that, but I guess I didn't understand quite the level. Nicky's entire bass line pre-recorded, and then I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube. He's like clapping his hands, getting the audience going, and you can clearly hear a bass line. And I play guitar. I'm not John Five or Steve Vai or anything like that, but I play guitar okay. And the bass lines in Motley Crue are not that difficult. So I'm calling complete laziness. Technology, no technology. He's not doing shit like Billy Sheehan or Les Claypool or Steve Harris. And they're pretty basic, Eddie. And then to deflect it, and, you know, we do this to cover for Mick. Okay, well, they got John Five in the band now, so I'm guessing the tracks are all going to be gone since they don't have to cover for him. I mean, it's just insane. How can he call himself a musician at this point? He's a cheerleader up there at best.
Well, Ray, as I've said repeatedly, and thank you, Ray, for the call. I'm just trying to move quickly because so many people want to get in today, and I want to get as many people in as we can. But I've said repeatedly on all of this stuff, I will never understand the need to do it. And Motley Crue is far from the only band. You know, you guys all know this has been a soapbox issue for me and will continue to be and has been now for years. Again, man, I feel, you know, Carmine Appice, if you've seen on social media, because he touched off this whole latest Mick Mars thing, and now he feels very vindicated with Mick coming out, as you would imagine. So does John Corabi, who I've heard from, who was in Motley Crue, because he was the first to say all this stuff, and now Corabi's taking a little bit of a victory lap right now. Okay, because these guys have been validated in what they've said from their angle. But I don't care who, like, I am so glad this has become a talking point because it's got to stop for live rock and roll. I've said so many times, if you really want to have a conversation about if rock is dead if going to see a live rock show means listening to a bunch of computers with no variable, no jam, no nothing, no everything sounds the same, perfect every night, what have you. I don't understand why anyone has to do it. And you know what's interesting too? When bands who say, oh, it's no big deal, everyone does it, when they get called on it, they immediately fold their tent and say it's not happening. Or they change. You remember one of the big things, because I've been at the center a lot of these controversies with this because I'm so outspoken about it, as you know. And that band that I first got crazy about, for I don't know where they're from, Finland or something, Santa Cruz, who I actually like. But if you remember, it wasn't long ago, like a year ago, when I went crazy because the kid walked away from the mic with the lead vocal coming out. And what made me super crazy about that was not just the tracks, but he seemed like he couldn't care less that he was being exposed because nobody seems to give a shit, which is the biggest concern. Right? So I've not seen that band since then, but they went back to the Whiskey where that happened, and he said, we're going to play live. I know of 2 or 3 examples where bands have changed because they've been called out on this or exposed by it. And my greatest hope is that happens for everybody. Because at the end of the day, if you're paying to see a live rock show, you should get a 95% at least live rock show. And I don't understand the need for it. Just get a couple extra human beings on the road. If you're a huge band, it's not a big deal to bring another musician or two out on the road. History has shown that forever. You go see the Black Crowes, there's more than Chris and Rich Robinson up there. There's more than the 5 people that make up the core band for the Crowes. You got a couple backing singers up there on a pedestal. You've got a keyboard player. You go see Rival Sons. Rival Sons is 4 members. You go see them live, there's 5. They got a keyboard player and a singer to fill out the sound. There was times where Cheap Trick had a guy. Whether he's seen or not, they had a guy. You go see Poison. Poison's got a guy playing keyboard, singing. They introduce him. It's not, his name's Will Dowdy, by the way. He's a friend of mine, talented guy. There he is in the corner playing keys and singing along with all the harmonies. Nothing wrong with that. You go see Whitesnake, they got 2 extra guys up there. It's still live rock and roll. I will never understand the need for it. And if you recall, during the stadium tour, the last tour now that Motley did with Mick, and most of you guys listening probably went. I didn't go, but most of you guys probably went. But if you listen to this show, we took a ton of calls from people about that tour. Every day that tour was hitting another city, we were getting calls on this show, people telling us about the experience, which is what I love about having a daily show that's live for you guys to get involved in. And the vast majority of people talked about the sound of Motley Crue and how it was all bottom end and they couldn't hear anything. So Motley is now saying, now we think back on that, right? Motley is now saying that was intentional because it had to drown out what was going on with Mick. But that was a thing. And here's the flip side. The other narrative that came out of that whole tour, at least for the people calling this show, and there was a lot of them, was how great Poison sounded. And how much they were turned on by Poison. People that went that weren't even into Poison walked out of there loving Poison. Poison is 100% live. It doesn't have to be perfect.